Welcome to APDesign Digital Tools. I'm going to get started with an introduction to Grasshopper. We're covering how to get it installed and how to get started. Alright, so the first thing you need to do is open up a window into the internet. We'll go to Grasshopper3D.com. And you'll see there a download button. You want the latest version. This is constantly updating, so you'll need to always be looking for updates. Alright, put in your email, and then there's just a small file that you have to download. Alright, and then if you have Rhino open, go ahead and close it. And we will now go ahead and run the install. Alright, it's that simple. And now open up Rhino. And the first thing to do is that you are going to type in Grasshopper. You'll get a slightly different window that's just telling you to agree, I think, again. But since I've already downloaded it, it doesn't need to do that. And you get a completely new interface. And it's on top of Rhino. So, Grasshopper is very important that you understand that it's a plugin for Rhino, and that it has a completely separate filing system. So you end up opening and creating files that in Grasshopper, hopefully with the same structure as what you're doing with Rhino. What I tend to do is my naming convention will be the Rhino file's name will be the same as the Grasshopper's name, so I know that there's a pairing there. Alright, so let's just get started with looking at what we have here. We have a whole series of menus. On yours, you'll see that it should stop about right here. I have a bunch of other additions. There's a lot of new plugins that are being created for Grasshopper that allow you to do a lot of more complex things. But these are the ones that you need to see. And when you click on one of these tabs, then you'll get a whole series of icons. You click on one of the black bars, you'll see kind of a complete set of what the various components are in each of these various places. I won't get into exactly all of these as we go along. We'll get to introduce to each one singularly. Okay, so now the advantage of Grasshopper over Rhino, or using Grasshopper as an augmentation of Rhino, is that when we create, say, a line in Rhino, we've done it, we have that line, and now anything that I do, anything that I add on to that line or use that line for, if I decide that that line is going to change, whatever I did that had connection to that line suddenly has to change also. Now in Grasshopper, there's a whole different kind of methodology that starts to exist. You're building a script, and so that script will include that line. And so as that line changes, the evolution of what your design would change if you've connected to it. So Grasshopper allows for this kind of iteration pattern to happen simultaneously. So in real time you'll see things change. So to illustrate that, we'll start with a very simple, again, kind of a line. So what I'm doing is going into curve and going under primitive, and you'll find this line with 2 points. These icons are really important. They usually illustrate pretty well what that component does. So I'll bring that down to our blank canvas, And you'll notice that one, it's orange. The component remains orange until it actually has all the information it needs to actually be a viable entity. So you'll see on the left there's these two, A and B. Those A and B, they're inputs. And you'll see that the A, if we hover over it, has line start point, and B has end start point. So just as when we create a line in Rhino, we need to input a beginning and an end point, Grasshopper needs that same information. So if we give it that, so if I right click and go set one point, and I just kind of click a point in space, and I do the same for B, we'll see that now we have a line that is drawn. Alright, so that line is not physically there. I can't select it, and in fact I can't really select the endpoints either, and that seems rather useless. So in fact what we want to do is we use geometry in Rhino to facilitate Grasshopper oftentimes. So if I just put down 2 points in Rhino, and now if I go and do the same thing, right click on A and set one point, and I tell it to, instead of coordinate, to grab a point, you'll see that, and I'll do that for both of them. And essentially I am targeting geometry in Rhino from Grasshopper. So now as I move those points, we'll see that the preview of the Grasshopper is moving with, as I move it in Rhino, it's moving with those points. So now we have a line that is can be edited dynamically. Now you wonder, what good is it just to have a preview? Well, obviously, as you develop a design, you'll be able to see it in real time, a facsimile of your design. If you ever need to get it into Rhino, you just right-click on the output, and you bake it. And you can bake it on whatever layer, and now it's there. Now if I move it, of course it's not now dynamic anymore, it's more static, and I'll just get rid of it. So that's the beginning. You have inputs on the left, outputs on the right, the operation in the middle, and in Grasshopper we tend to build things from left to right. So if this is the beginning geometry, I'll start it here on the left side of my canvas, and everything will then build from there.